are here every Friday, bringing you the good marketing gospel. Man, let me tell you something. Yeah, my dad was a Baptist minister. Man, he would just get up there in that pulpit and hoop and holler and carry on. And I guess it rubbed off on me. Because I'm telling you, I'm not a Baptist minister, but I am a minister of business and a minister of gospel of marketing. So welcome to the show. Just glad to be here. Got some great people lined up here today. As always, the Marketing Pulpit Show comes to you every Friday at 10:30 a.m., broadcasting live over several platforms out of the Washington, D.C. area. We spent 10 years over at Radio One, and we'll be back over there. And that's where we got our start, and got some great folks over there. And so, but anyway, go to marketingpulpit.com to get all the listening options, find out more about the show, find out more about me, our guests, our hosts, and everything Marketing Pulpit. Also, go to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and you can find us also on those platforms. We're all things Marketing Pulpit. That's easy to remember. Don't have to get all fancy and change, put in any special characters. Just go to Marketing Pulpit and like us and share us and become part of this magnificent family, if I must say so myself. Uh, as I say that we're on 10 years strong right now, and we have done some great things. We made some great strides in our community. When you're on a purpose, though, it's like that. It's like that when you have a purpose and you're about something. We're not just doing this to make money. If I make money, hey, I need the money to further our cause and to help put folks to work and build these businesses. But my goal is my purpose of building these businesses, uh, making people independent, so that our kids can have a place to work in the summer times. Our adults can go out here and put food on the table for their families. And so we're all about a mission here. We have a purpose, and that's the Marketing Pulpit. Also, I've never been one to say I can do all this by myself. That's why I bring in a talented cadre of hosts and guests, and that's been the one of the hallmarks of the success of the show. And that's why we've been around so long and we have so many followers. We have people listening all over the world, people out of Canada, people out of Africa, people out of all 50 of the United States. And we're just glad to have this platform available. Now we're going to got a lot of things to talk about today. I'm going to bring in my special guest co-host today, Mr. Richard Myles. He's a young man that's here shaking things up, and we do shows together. We, just run in some same circles. So I'm going to bring him on board. Welcome to the show, Mr. Myles.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, I'm glad to have you as always. Glad to have you. How are things in the MFL world?
Oh, well, I can't say it. I'm blessed. I'm blessed when I woke up this morning, and MFL is blessed. As you know, Robert, being the co-host of the show Inside the MFL, I was just waiting when I was going to get an opportunity to come on. Your show is so big now. Everybody talking about the Marketing Pulpit, and I'm just honored to be on here because you're talking about me. You're doing some great things, man. And I don't need to say that for those of the people who don't know the things that you're doing. I mean, even helping me with the MFL to on my journey, what I'm doing. So I'm just delighted to be on your show today.
We'll do this, Myles, before we get started. Tell people about the MFL. Give us a quick rundown of what the MFL is all about.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the CEO, founder, and chairman of the Minor Football League. The Minor Football League celebrating our 25th year anniversary, with 25 franchises across the country, and we're doing something very unique. I'm gonna take half of the league and put it over Africa. We're going over Africa, so we're gonna have 16 teams in Africa, and we're gonna have 16 teams here in America. Matter of fact, it'll be the first World Bowl ever. The champion over here in the United States will play the champion in Africa. So we're excited about it. And we've been around. I have the NFL Network. I do a show Inside the MFL Saturday morning, 11 o'clock on DC Radio. I have to give them credit and kudos to the mayor for supporting us and what we're doing.
I'm also glad to be affiliated with the MFL. I've been over there at the DC Cable and Entertainment Division in Washington, D.C., and we've been doing the show over there for many years, and also on the Wednesday show that MFL does I co-host with Mr. Myles on that as well. So thank you again for joining me today. And want to thank everybody else who's joining the show today. We're going to have a special guest coming on later on, a young lady from Black Voters Matter. We're in the heat of the political season right now, and so many things are going on. We also have a lot of social upheaval going on right now. We have a pandemic going on, and so I thought it was very uh, timely to bring her on to talk about the voting process, why Black voters matter, some of the things, some of the challenges that are going to be happening in the fall when we're coming up to the election. And so we're going to have her coming on at the 11 o'clock hour. And so we just got a great show lined up, folks. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm just glad to have Mr. Richard Myles here with me today. Also, go to marketingpulpit.com. You can find out more about the show. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and all things Marketing Pulpit. Now, before I get started, I always like to give people an update on what's happening in the news. And we have a lot going on. And tell you what I'm going to talk about later on today, because I got a thought today. Got a thought. I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to marinate for a minute because change. I'm going to talk about change today. I'm not talking about pocket change.
Right.
We're going to talk about change because I'm going to put something out here for you to think about. Change or be changed. Being the same is not an option. I want you to think about that for a minute. You are going to change or you are going to be changed. Staying the same is not an option.
True.
Now what am I saying here, Robert? Some people saying, Robert Gabriel, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? They're gonna have, what you talking about, Will, at this moment? Well, I looked up change in the dictionary, and change says to make or become different. That means you are going to make yourself different, or somebody else is going to make you different, or something is going to make you different. You have to decide which one it's going to be. So I'm going to talk about that later on in my marketing sermon. Change or be changed. You can ponder this before I get to it. You would not remain the same. And even that's more powerful now than ever before. With this social unrest, with this pandemic, companies are changing, people are changing. Or you're going to sit there and let this change happen to you, or you're going to grab the reins and make the change yourself. So that's something I want you to think about. And I want you to think about this quote before I get to it. And I will talk about it later again. I cannot say for sure that if I change, things will get better. But one thing I'm sure of, if I stand any chance of things getting better, then change they must. Think about that for a minute. Okay, that's coming up at the later in the show. And also, like I said, we're going to have Danielle Brown from Black Voters Matter. And of course, I'm glad to have Mr. Myles here. Myles, I'm going to talk about some news, and feel free to jump in here and help me out. First thing, we've got this pandemic still going on. I know people are tired of talking about the pandemic. They're like, can we move on and just get back to normal? Wouldn't we love to? But boy, let me tell you something. We're finding out that rush has put many people at unnecessary peril. We've had these states to open up too early. We've had institutions to open up too early, and now we're seeing the highest number of cases reported since the pandemic really started back in February when we started talking about it. Other countries have come out of this thing. Other countries have gone back to school, they've gone back to work, their economies are rebounding, and our country, the pandemic numbers are still going up. And now we're starting to see these over 110 businesses declared bankruptcy in the United States this year. We're talking about major companies. I've heard Brooks Brothers. I mean, some of these big, well-known institutions, some of these iconic names are filing bankruptcy. And I hate to say it, folks, I like to be the bearer of good news, but that's why I'm going to talk about change today. The worst is ahead of us. That's why you have to start making change today. What do you think, Mr. Myles?
Oh, absolutely. I have to agree with you, Robert, 100%, because we're not doing the things that we should be doing. As you stated earlier, we can't rush this thing. For some reason or another, Out of sight, out of mind. You have people going out there knowing that this is not over with. They win. They don't wear the face masks. They don't protect themselves. And all the time, it's not just you; it's other people. The beaches open up. You got all these people here, and I think more so than anything else, it's about the dollar, Robert, and the dollar gonna cost us even more. You know what they say? Excuse me. In the long run, we're hurting ourselves. These stores can't open because they're trying to do, as my mother always said when I was young, anything that's done by halves and not ever done right. So we're halfway doing things as opposed to just sitting back. That's why, Robert, in the NFL, that's why we say, hey, we're going to shut this thing down. As simple as that. We're going to shut this thing down because we don't know. Well, I always say, for those your guests that do watch my show, three things. They don't know what this virus is. They gave it a name, but they don't know what it is. Two, they don't have a cure for it. And
Mhm.
three, if you caught it one time, can you catch it again? So these are things that need to be answered. And we rushing out there trying to make this thing go away and all these crowds. Robert, it's sad, but it's dangerous, man. And a lot of people don't understand how dangerous this virus because I'm afraid myself. But I'm up here right now, I'm away from everything. That's why I don't have a mask on. Generally, I'm outside, I will have a mask on anywhere I go. But, it's sad. But what you're saying is right, Robert. The government didn't take it seriously. And it was a shame Obama, former President Obama, had this in place. He even said this
Right.
is in place for what might happen. You know
That's
what I
exactly
mean?
right.
And, and,
Well,
and, and it happened.
you're exactly right. And I want to say hello to some of the folks tuning in on Facebook. We got people tuning in from all over the world. I see Dan Schmidt. Hey, Dan Schmidt, one of my former associates over at Diet to Go. I see Miss Colleen Sinclair Robinson, one of my fellow adjunct professors at Prince George's Community College. I see Mildred Staten out of North Carolina. Cousin, how you doing, cuz? Hey, attorney, the fantastic, amazing attorney Carmise Graves, also one of my fellow radio hosts over at Radio One. She has her own show, the Carmise Graves Law Show, comes on every Tuesday at 10 a.m. If you want to get the skinny on divorce, bankruptcy, family law, that's the show you need to listen to. The Carmise Graves Show at 10 o'clock on 10 o'clock on Tuesdays over at Radio One. I see Miss Clemens Marsha out of Houston, Texas. Folks, we have a great listening audience this morning. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're broadcasting live on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. And we're on Periscope, which is Twitter TV. And thank you for joining. And Mildred says we have a dangerous leader, and she is so right. That's why we have Miss Danielle Brown on here. Even though I think they don't take a position, but they do tell people to get out here and vote. So we're going to bring her on in a few moments. Let's talk about some other things in the news. Now we're talking about change today. Now, if you think that I'm blowing smoke when I say change, look at what some of these big companies are doing. Walmart is transforming 160 of its parking lots into drive-in theaters. Now that's some change for you.
And that's smart, though.
That's smart. That's brilliant. That's what I'm saying. You can't just sit here and let change happen to you. Now they could have sat there and have all this empty space sitting out here. People scared to come in the store. They're ordering online from Amazon Prime. They're saying, wait a minute, we got all this empty, we got these empty parking lots, we got this real estate. Why don't we make change instead of letting change happen to us? I'm telling you, folks, this is a big example that you can do in your own world. When Myles and I, when we he left DC radio over there, he left the studio over there because they chased him out, and Radio One wouldn't let us come in Radio One anymore. We didn't go home and cry and our coffee and play the violin. We found a different platform.
Yeah,
What do you think,
right.
Myles?
Absolutely. And it just goes to show you, we adapt, we improvise, we adjust. And that's what you got to do. And just to go back to what you were saying about the
Oh, Myles, we're losing you there. I think we lost Mr. Myles for a minute. We'll get him back in a minute. Folks, you're listening
right
to the
about
Marketing
that,
Pulpit.
Robert.
Hey, Mr. Myles, your camera went out there for a second. Hold this. I
Yeah,
tell you what, Myles, hold on for a second. We're going to take a
yeah,
quick break. Folks, you're listening to the Marketing Pulpit Radio Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are actually radio and TV. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the MFL. We're going to cover a few news stories. But grab you a comfortable seat. Tell somebody the Marketing Pulpit Show is in town. We're on the air right now. Share this information. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. You really have to check out this company, BLE Executive Suites. They have their 3 locations here in the DC area, Largo, National Harbor, and College Park. Community-owned business, let's support them. We want to support. Oh, man, that music got me moving over here. That's
I see it.
You got to go to that website, 9p6.band, and it's an amazing story. These guys, they were a local group in the DC area, and they had the same type of music as Kool and the Gang and Earth, Wind and Fire and Choir Players, but they lost their music through a copyright dispute, and it took them 35 years to get their music back, and they relaunched their group. And the story is they have a CD out now. It's a collector's item. All the band members sign it, and one of our local talents, everybody knows Willie Jolly and Bradley Thomas, and all of the band members. You'll see them on the go to the website on that, and the whole crew over there. Great group of people. Anyway, they're sponsoring the show. We're glad to have them, and you really have to read that. You have to get that story though. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood. I have my co-host today, Mr. Richard Myles Sr. And later in the show, we're going to have Miss Danielle Brown from Black Voters Matter. And so got a lot going on. We're talking about some of these news stories, and we're talking about change today. Our theme today is change. This is an interesting story that many people didn't see coming, that tech startups are laying off thousands of workers. Most people thought technology was like the third rail. You didn't mess with technology, folks. But a lot of these startups, they're being affected by the pandemic as well. So nobody is exempt. Once again, folks, sometimes you have to change, you have to pivot, you have to refocus. And that's why today our theme is, we're talking about change. Now, Starbucks has just made a big announcement, and this is going to cause some controversy because, like you said, I don't know when our health became a political issue, but that seems to be the case now. You have certain people that feel like wearing a mask is somehow goes against their political ideology. I mean, how weird is that? Well, anyway, Starbucks, who has been they've been kind of a groundbreaker in the cause of social justice. They have required everybody in all of their 900 stores to start wearing a mask on July 15th. Now, to many people, that might seem like an obvious, or what's the big deal? But when people are being assaulted, being called names, being shot, being beat, because somebody asked them to wear a mask, they're actually taking a stand. It might seem obvious and easy to us, but for the company to make this a mandate in all of its 900 stores, they are taking a stand. They're saying, look, this is not a political issue. This is a health issue. This is a be wary of your fellow man, fellow woman issue. And so I want to really take my hat off to Starbucks and some of these other companies that are taking some real bold moves during this pandemic. Walgreens is talking about change today. Walgreens is going to start providing health care and attaching doctors' offices to its hundreds of U.S. stores. About 500 to 700 stores are going to start having open clinics in their stores. And that's pretty major. Once again, we're starting to see this shift. We're seeing a seismic shift in how people are doing business in these United States and around the world. Now, I know you want to say this, and now what does that make me? What does that make you? You may be a small one-person operator. You may have an office. You may have a law practice. You may have you may be a CPA. Maybe have a hair salon. You got to sit back and say, look, these changes are happening. Am I going to let them happen to me, or am I going to take initiative and initiate change? And I can tell you this without fear of contradiction, the ones that initiate the change are going to be the ones that's going to come out on top because you're calling the shots, you're making the moves that's going to benefit you instead of other people using you as a pawn in their chess game. That's the main differentiator between making change or becoming change. That's why I'm always pushing entrepreneurship. That's why I'm telling folks to get out here and start their own business. I'm not saying go out here and quit your job tomorrow, but use that job as a tool, as a means to an end and not an end itself. Yeah, I had a job. I worked for many companies. I was a corporate man. I was about as corporate as they got. I had the button down shirts. I think I got the jacket on today. I put this on for the show. But I was just as blue suited and gray suited as they get. But I took that experience to launch my own company. So look at your job as a means to an end, not the end itself. Let's see what else we got here. Now, what we're going to do in a moment, I'm going to bring in my guest. This young lady, she's out here shaking things up. Her organization is Black Voters Matter. Like, if anybody ever questioned that, I mean, I wonder why people start questioning that Black Lives Matter. People say, "Oh yeah, it's not Black Lives Matter, it's all lives matter." Yeah, we already know that. I mean, you don't have to state that. That's a given. But when you put the word Black and matter together, it's called focus. If Black folk weren't being killed in the numbers they were by police, you wouldn't have to say Black Lives Matter. And so I'm sure we have a similar approach when we talk about Black voters matter. We're not saying other folks' vote don't matter, but we're saying Black voters matter too, because Black voters are the ones right now receiving the brunt of voter suppression and some of the other things. I'm not gonna try to steal Danielle's thunder. She got this down over here. I see over there in the green room doing push-ups and jumping jacks. She ready to jump in here, boy. I'm gonna bring on my guest, Miss Danielle Brown of Black Voters Matter. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I know I got you laughing over there. I know. I be messing with folks.
Always.
Now, where are you? What part of the country are you in this morning?
I am in North Carolina. I am the North Carolina State Coordinator. That's right. I represent your home.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. Why don't you do this? I'm going to just give you the platform for a minute to let you introduce yourself. Explain to the people who you are, what got you, why are you a member of Black Voters Matter, and just give us a brief introduction, please.
Awesome. Well, my name again is Danielle Brown. I am the North Carolina State Coordinator for Black Voters Matter. I am Black Voters Matter. I'll tell anybody, pick me up off the bus. We have the blackest bus in America. And I got the opportunity to meet one of our wonderful co-founders, Cliff Albright, and fell in love with the work that Black Voters Matter was doing. And then you add our other co-founder on there, Latasha Brown, and it just kind of like, oh yeah, this woven it together. This is where I'm supposed to be. But the biggest thing is just the mission that we promote. We promote love and power. You know, when you give love and you get, just to some of these small areas, rural areas that don't always get a lot of love, don't always get a lot of resources when it comes to making sure, we get the work done, but they're out here doing the work regardless. They figure out a way. You see all this power come out of it. When you go into these Black communities and you give them a little bit of love and let them know what they can do, you see all this power come out of these communities. And so it's so amazing to sit back and watch. It's so amazing to support and be a part of, and to see all how the power actually works, and how it works on the ground level all the way up to the federal level, and knowing that people, giving people the opportunity to say, I helped make that change. I made that significant change. So that's one of the things that I absolutely just love about the organization. I love the fact that we're in 11 different states across the country, and all of these states have the most unique coordinators that you can ever find that bring something to the table, that do things a little bit different because they know their states and they work, they work with their states, they work with their partners, they work with their communities, and to bring about a change that we are all looking for as Black people and as in the Black community.
Let me ask you this, Danielle, and I'm sure some people are watching and want to know, why do we need a Black Voters Matter organization to begin with?
Well, I get asked all the time, why not Black Votes Matter? Why are we talking about Black Voters Matter? Why not Black Votes Matter? Without Black voters, you have no Black votes. If all of us sit at the House, we have no Black votes. And when it's all said and done, let's be real about it. Our politicians and individuals that are out here running for office, they know where their voting power comes from because they always seem to find their way to our neighborhoods when it's time to get elected. Now, you may never see them again, but they always find their way to our neighborhood when they're trying to get into office. And so, why do we just, why do you come after us for just our votes? We're more than just our votes. We are a power figure here in the United States when it comes to Black people and Black communities. And that's what we do. We empower and let people know that you can do this. You can make that difference, and they will come to you wanting you to help them make that difference. They do it every single time. We're seeing it right now more and more and more. I have so many different partners that call me and they're like, do you know this person? Do you know that person or whatever? Because they're like, I've never seen them before. But at the same time, that's what happens. We know for a fact they're coming, and there's gonna be even more of them that are gonna be coming, and they're after our Black votes. But please know, our Black voters matter. Our Black voters matter.
Well, Danielle, I tell you an issue I've always had, and it bothers me to no end, and that's the voter suppression efforts that we see around the country. And it takes on many countenances. It takes on many forms. We see it in people putting up. It's almost like the old Jim Crow laws of counting how many people how many jars in a jelly bean jar. We're seeing it now, but in a more subtle fashion. So, first of all, let us know, in your opinion, of the organization, how serious is this problem, and what is your organization doing to address it?
It is a very serious problem. It's always been a serious problem, especially when it comes to our Black communities. And the one thing that we tried our best as people on the ground, activists, Black Voters Matter coordinators, our co-founders, we all tried our best not to allow COVID-19, this pandemic, to bring about another form of voter suppression. And it did exactly that. We tried to, get the word out here and get people ahead of the game. It didn't matter. It did exactly what we thought it was going to do and what we had anticipated it doing. Look at Georgia, a month ago. Look at Kentucky a couple of weeks ago. And this all is in the Black community. And the one thing I can truly say about Black Voters Matter is we were on the ground for all of it. We rallied there, it was rally last minute. Everybody, let's do what you got to do. Let's help push this effort, and let's go out here and bring the awareness to what's really truly going on in these areas. We had our co-founders and other Black Voters Matter individuals, that our coordinator, everything that was out there in Georgia till the very last person was able to vote that day. And that didn't happen till after midnight. So they were there all day and midnight. They were like, no, don't. They were encouraging people to stay in line. They were celebrating people when they came out of the line after voting. They were doing the same thing in Kentucky. They were helping to bring about the awareness of what was going on in Kentucky, encouraging people to stay in line, to get in line, when they tried to close the doors at 6:00, no, don't leave, please stay. This is so important. The education that they were giving behind it, that was all Black Voters Matter being on the ground, networking and talking to the individuals that were on the ground. I've seen it happen here in North Carolina, same thing, encouraging individuals not to leave polls when they were turned away. Voter suppression is very real. And in order for us to combat it, we just have to combat it head on and let people know we're not going anywhere. We're staying right here until I can cast my vote.
Well, I have a question. So, we see these. We see what happened. We saw what happened in Georgia with the Stacey Abrams. We saw what happened down in Florida. Why is it, in spite of this obvious, overwhelming evidence that this is a problem, we still have Black people who are still saying, well, voting is a waste. Voting is a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. Look what happened. We've been voting for all these years, and still things are just as bad as they used to be. What do you say to people who really feel like voting is just a waste of time?
I give them my raw, true stories of what I've experienced and what I've seen. And, I don't feel I feel like people get discouraged because they don't see the immediate changes a lot of times that they're wanting to see. But at the same time, I take it beyond that because it's beyond going to the polls. It's beyond ensuring that your vote is counted. It's making sure your vote has some type of accountability behind it. So when we're out here and we're encouraging people to vote, we're also letting them know, as much as you guys, as we put into ensuring that people are getting to the polls, we're ensuring that you all through the year are going and making your voice heard at city council meetings, at your mayor's office, at your city commission, your county commissioner meetings, at your board of elections, where they make those decisions in whether your voting precinct is going to be open or closed in your community. Be a part of the process throughout the year. I mean, make yourself known. So when they see you come into the room, they're like, yep, here they come. Absolutely. Flood the room, whenever, as much as possible. I focus a lot more on the local elections. Yes, we know we've got some things to handle on the federal level, but it's so much easier to go knock on your local city councilman's door or your mayor's door than it is to go knock on 1600 Black Voters Avenue door up in DC. I love saying that now.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna bring in my co-host. He was having some technical issues a minute ago. I'm gonna bring Mr. Richard Myles and let him join the conversation here. Welcome back, Richard. Welcome back.
Thank you, and I apologize for I did have some difficulty, but I have to say kudos to this young lady because she's right. Everybody seems to think that change have to happen right then and there, just
Right.
like Obama. For some reason or another, when President Obama got in, we was like, oh, okay, everything will be our way. That's not the process. And those of us that understand politics understand that it's different. You got to go through a lot. But I just want to say kudos to her because she's right. You have to get out there, make yourself known, make yourself seen. Those saying out of sight, out of mind. And I just want to say to her, what you're doing is, believe me, it's people like ourselves and Robert. We recognize and see what you guys are doing, and we have platforms that we're willing to share with you all because the more visible you are, the more people see it. So I just say kudos, and you're right. Change is always slow, but we just have to be patient. And I think we got time, Robert. I just turned 65, so I think I got a little more time
Yeah,
to be
a couple more years
patient.
left. But you know what?
Yeah, we got a couple more years.
What you said is right, Richard. Because we've seen, and I hear these people, and really sometimes it's very discouraging. You hear people who are saying, well, the vote is wasted. It's why hasn't progress moved? But you have to realize and take into consideration the insidiousness of the forces that people like Danielle are up against. There are some really nefarious and diabolical people at the helm of some of our institutions to make sure. And if the vote wasn't so important, why would they be fighting so hard to deny it to you? So whenever somebody tells you,
Absolutely.
hey, look, the vote is wasted. Well, if it was that insignificant, why would they be willing to kill people, to deny you, change the laws even? They would change a law to make it more difficult for you to vote. We saw that down in Georgia. They changed
Oh,
the
yeah.
laws. They did it in North Carolina. They would change the laws to make it more difficult for you to vote. So if you have no other reason, just look at that as an example of why you should make it that much more a goal of yours, not only to vote, but to get others to vote. Now, Danielle, this voter issue or the effort to keep people from voting or their vote to count has many different heads. One area is to suppress the vote so that people don't get to the polls. through different things like requiring IDs and all these other things. Now, all of a sudden, we've been voting in this country since 1619, and all of a sudden now you got to have a driver's license or some type of picture ID. We know this didn't happen until after the Obama election. We know that for a fact. So don't all of a sudden feel like all of a sudden there's voter fraud. We know that's a myth. But there's another issue that has happened. When the votes have been cast, how do we make sure that those votes do get counted? That's another issue.
We put people in those places. We are working with people across the country to ensure that we have enough poll monitors, that we have enough poll judges, that we have people that are in these places so that when they do, when we're counting votes, we're making the decision when we're ending this. We're the poll judge that says, oh well, we're finished, we've counted everything, we've made sure everything is done. We're putting Black people in those spaces. This is the prime time to do that right now because of the fact that we have COVID-19. So if they're going to use COVID-19 as a voter suppression, we're going to use it as a voter push right now to put some people in some places, because now we can say, you know what, we have individuals that are trained. They know how to come out here. They're poll monitors. They're young people. They're motivated. They're going to be out here. They're electronically, because that's another big thing that people always want to say, that we have people that don't understand the electronic process. Well, we've got young people that are out here. They understand the electronic process. They're training others. They're bringing others with them. They are not just poll monitors or watchers, but they're poll judges. They're individuals that are out here that are working to ensure that every single vote counts. There's looking over your shoulder to make sure that every single vote counts. And having those individuals in place to be able to do that because of COVID-19, because we have a lot of individuals that are afraid. We have a lot of older individuals that can't do it because of medical health issues, things of that sort. But we've got a group of people that we are working with right now to be able to put those into place so that we can ensure that every single vote is counted. And even from the, mail vote by mail, that's another big issue that people are talking about. But those votes have to be counted. So ensuring that we're standing there and making sure all of this work is done, and we're the ones that says it's done, it's right. Here's our count right here.
This is something that I've noticed in the last few weeks, and it really is I think it's important. We've seen companies and organizations, and regardless of their race, they're doing the right thing now. And that's why I say this is not a black-white issue. This is a justice issue. And we've seen many of our white brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers and sisters, our Asian brothers and sisters, they have joined ranks with organizations like Black Lives Matter, they've done the right thing. We've seen NASCAR take down the Confederate flag. We've seen the state of Georgia agreed to remove the Confederate emblem from their flag. So we're seeing this sea change happen across the country. Now, how is that impacting your efforts over at Black Voters Matter? Has it made life easier for you? Is it helping you financially? Is it making life more difficult? How is this new attitude across the country affecting your organization?
We are seeing, Black Voters Matter, we've always had allies that have stood right there from the beginning. And our co-founders definitely let us know as coordinators, we've always had allies. Seeing the strength in numbers, seeing, people come on board and saying, hey, look, let's do this together. It's not just about, you guys standing out here alone. Let's do this together. But also, allies knowing, and when I say this with the utmost respect, knowing their place, knowing that, my job is to bring you to the table and put you in the room, and then to step back. And then if people decide to throw eggs at us or kick us out, we're going out together. That is what we have as Black Voters Matter. And that's wonderful to see across the country that others are getting to experience something that we've been experienced since day one. Because again, it takes all of us to do this job, and it's going to take all of us. And when it comes to November 3rd, it's going to take every last one of us across this country to make this happen. And the focus that what we have within the Black rural communities is so important. It's so important that we have that, and that we have all allies that we can have within those communities to stand with us to make this happen.
Now, we have an election coming up in November, and we have a lot of interest in this election. Probably one of the most watched elections in history. We say that just about every year, though. When it was 2016, we said the same thing. When it was 2008, when it was 2012. Well, this once again, I think because it keeps getting that much more important. How important is it for people to get out in this election without singling it out? But it is a very pivotal election in the really, I think whether this country is going to be the country that we know, or it's going to be something different. What do you think as far as the importance of this upcoming election?
It is beyond important. Our country is a reflection right now of its leadership, and if we want a type of reflection that we're happy to see on a day-to-day basis, then it's going to be something that we're going to definitely have to go out here and push for. We're definitely going to have to go out here and make a way for. We're going to have to pull out all the stops when it comes to making sure the individuals are getting to the polls there, and their votes are there, and they're counting. And then once they are counted, that they're still a part of the process, the ongoing process. Part of the issue that we always see is, we get to November the 3rd, and I love when people ask me, what are you going to do on November the 4th? The same thing I did on November 3rd, the 2nd, the 1st, everything. It's the same thing. It's a 365 conversation. That's what we love about Black Voters Matter, because we're 365. Having that ongoing conversation and keeping people a part of the process and keeping the momentum, so that anytime there's an election, whether it's a midterm election every 2 years, whether it's a local election, whatever it is, it's always important. And yes, we're seeing that this one is going to be very controversial, but it's because of all the different aspects that we have and that we're combating right now. The other thing that I would also say is ensuring that people understand the full ballot, not just we know the presidential election is happening, but everyone has to understand the full ballot. There's more to this than just the president, the governor, whatever may be on your ballot, the top 3 things that's on your ballot. Go all the way to the bottom. Make sure that you're filling that out, because there's some legislation that may be trying to be passed in your local area that you may not understand and be aware of. So we've got to do a really great job at educating others, ensuring that people have everything that they need, including PPE when they go to the polls, and making sure that people understand the importance of making sure that they are there and that they stay and that their vote is counted on November the 3rd.
I would say this about the upcoming election, that regardless of how you feel, whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Black, white, independent, you have to go out and vote for the type of country you would like to see.
Absolutely.
And it starts with the type of leaders that you elect. Now, if you don't like the direction the country is going, you vote differently. If you like the direction that the country is going, you vote to maintain the current leadership. It really boils down to that. Do you like the direction that the country is going? You have to you have to go into the room and meditate, pray, Noma Rango, Kale, whatever you decide to do, however you get into your zone, your mojo, you have to make that decision. But when you make that decision, then you have to come out unequivocally and go to that poll and cast that ballot, and take as many people as you want, like, and can, who feel the same way. Take them with you. I can say this without having to call anybody's name or any candidate. You know what I'm talking about. If you want to see the country change, then you get out there and vote for change.
Correct.
If you want it to stay the way it is, which I can't imagine, then you vote for that as well. This is not a hard decision. That's why we like organizations like what Danielle is a part of, Black Voters Matter. That's why I like organizations like what Mr. Myles is doing. Everybody has a role to play.
Correct.
The Marketing Pulpit, we are a business development show, but we understand that business cannot operate in a vacuum, because laws affect how we do business. Laws determine what kind of police enforcement we're going to have. Laws determine things that affect it's a holistic approach. That's why I look on when I go on a platform like LinkedIn, I look on these social media platforms. I hear somebody every now and then say, don't bring that race stuff over here. Don't bring this over there. Isn't this for Facebook or Instagram? I'm saying if that's the way you feel about it, you're part of the problem. Because of that, because people can't get jobs, because people are treated differently. You can't hide racism under cover of a platform. When you're in a war, and I don't mean a physical shooting war, there is no cover. Everybody's affected. There is no quarter. And if you want to stop racism, stop being racist. If you want to stop
Right.
racism and you want to stop the discussion about racism, stop being around racist people and letting them say racist things. You can't be a passive person in this fight. I don't want to draw the line and say you with us or against us. I've heard that overused. But if you want to combat, if you want to see a better world where people are treated equally, where everybody has a right to vote, then you have to step up and do something about it. And that starts on November, in November when we go to the polls. But it doesn't start then, it starts today. It started last week. And according to Danielle, it's been in her blood since she was a baby. What do you think, Mr. Myles?
And you're right, Robert. And you're right, Robert. And we have to stop every time people say we say certain things that we are talking about racism, but that's what it's been about all the time. Whether you want to admit it or not,
Right,
it is what
we
it
can't
is. And
escape it. We
now,
can't go home and stop
absolutely,
being black.
yeah,
It follows us everywhere we go.
absolutely. And you have to understand that you know sometimes you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. We got to stop taking the bigger person. You know me, Rob. I don't believe in being the bigger person.
Mhm.
That right there is gone. That's gone. We have to stand up for what's right. And because and Danielle, like I say, I have to give kudos to you, but it's something you said earlier. But I have to make sure that people understand because you got my complexion, don't make you my kind. So
Mhm.
we also have to understand that scenario too. And as Robert said, we're not going to take sides and stuff, but we really know who's on our side, who's not, and we really don't need people of color help this stuff. Don't get caught up in champion other situations that coming up. That's another thing that we getting caught up in. Champion our own. Stop trying to go champion something else. Now you lose focus. And y'all understand what I mean by that. Just don't lose focus there on what's going on because you got people like Danielle out there. She's staying focused, but you got other people saying, well, we got to go over there. We haven't got this resolved yet. So these are the type of things. And like I say, Danielle, my hat's off to you because you're doing an outstanding job. Keep doing what you're doing. And if anything I can do to help you, please get in contact with us because I think you're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Myles.
you.
Now, Danielle, uh, let me ask you this. Now, if somebody wants to get involved with your organization, they want to volunteer, assist, give money, I'm just pleased beyond worries on what you're doing and how you're making a difference out here. I'm going to
Right.
emphasize this too, because we have a lot of good people out here of every race. That this is not a black white issue. This is an issue of justice.
Mhm.
Right.
Black voters
Yeah.
matter. Black lives matter because for so many years they didn't matter.
It didn't
Mhm.
matter.
And we have to make
Absolutely.
sure that we apply the focus where it needs to be. One of the guys that I listen to a lot, Neely Fuller, one of his famous quotes is, "In a system of justice, help goes to those who need it the most." Think
Mhm.
about that for a minute. In a system of justice, I'm not just talking about a system of capitalism or a system of who's going to get rich the quickest or who's going to favor somebody or who's the son of somebody else. I'm saying in a system of justice, help goes to those who need it the most.
Mhm.
And for too many years, we have not received justice because we needed the help the most. Our unemployment has been higher. Our health has been on the bottom end. Our social system, the net has broken so many times I can't even count it. That's where the help is needed. And thankfully, we're seeing people to open up their hearts and their arms and their wallets. I hate to say thanks to this pandemic and thanks to what happened in the social unrest, but we're seeing a different people. And I'm just going to say to everybody out here, black, white, or whatever, you want to be on the right side of history. I want you to think on this. because I know people of all races and ages are looking at this. Be on the right side of history, because this is going to happen. The old way, we're talking about change today. This change will happen. Hats off to NASCAR. Hats off to folks who got rid of Aunt Your Mom and Uncle Ben. Hats off to them. Hats off to Google and Netflix. Netflix put $100 million in black banks. These companies are making change. Let's be on the right side of history. Don't get me preaching today. I tell you, this is the marketing pulpit. I'm going to pull out my robe in a minute. Danielle, how can folks reach you in your organization?
We have multiple ways that people can get involved. We tell people all the time, there's so many different ways that you can get involved with Black Voters Matter. The easiest way is to text We Matter to 797979. Again, that's We Matter to 797979. Join, like us on all of our social media platforms. Check out our website, which is blackvotersmatterfund.org. Again, blackvotersmatterfund.org. You can donate there. You can see what we're all about there. Hook up with some of our coordinators in our various states that are doing, again, some amazing work. We absolutely love everything that everyone is doing across the South and in Michigan and Philadelphia. So please hook up with them, hook up with the partners, become locally active within, just go to your local board of elections meeting. That you can do that. I mean, make sure that everybody in your household is, up to date on their voter registration. Make sure everybody has a voting plan on, for the election day. We have a push card that we always utilize, our 5 friends and family. Make sure you have 5 friends and family that you're taking with you to the polls, and you guys know what day you're going and what time, and y'all in the car and you're masked up and ready to go. There's so many various ways that you can be a part of the work that Black Voters Matter does. Our job is to ensure that we are supporting the work. We're not here to take over the work or anything like that. We're supporting the work because there's been people out here doing this for years, and they do it better than anybody else under the sun. Our job is to support it. A lot of our organizations, that we work with, we know for a fact in certain counties that people don't move until Miss Mamie says move on election day. And so that being said, we want to make sure we're supporting Miss Mamie and everything she's got going on in that county. So that's what we do as Black Voters Matter. We bring a little bit of love so that we can ensure that each community, each county, each place that has Black people have all the power that they need to make real change.
Amen. Well, thank you, Danielle. I want to thank you for joining us on the Marketing Pulpit Radio Show. You have the backing, you have our support, and if anything we can do to help make your job easier or expand your mission and your reach, then you have a friend in the Marketing Pulpit Radio Show. Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about change. We're going to talk about this change again. And so don't go anywhere, folks. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. We bring you the good marketing gospel. And we're not saving souls over here. We're saving businesses. We're saving jobs. We're saving our community. And we'll be right back.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
All right. My guest is still with me. You going to hang around, Danielle?
Sure, why not?
All right, feel free to jump in here. I just like having your voice in the room. You're a really dynamic young lady, and if I can have more of you, I'll be glad to do that. Want to say hello to everybody who's tuning in around the world. See people tuning in on Facebook, right and left. See Miss Hopkins. She's saying, "How are we ensuring the absentee votes are counted?" That's a good question. How are we going to ensure that? Um, I guess that goes one of those issues, Danielle. It's going to be some challenges out here, and we just have to stay at it. That's the bottom line. Just got to stay on top of it. There's always more work to do. We're
Absolutely.
going to talk about next. We're going to talk about change. I've been beating this change drum since I've been really. Let me just put it this way. I'm just going to come right out and say it. Everybody listening to me today, I want you to change something. It's that simple. Change something.
Something.
I don't care what you do, because you remember once upon a time, let me give you an example. That was a guy used to be called Michael King. Everybody know who that is? You ever heard of Michael King?
No.
That was
The
Martin
name
Luther King.
sounds familiar, but I'm
That was
not.
Martin Luther King's name. That was his daddy's name. His name was Michael King.
Okay.
He changed his name and then changed his son's name to Martin Luther King.
Okay. Whole life changed.
Change. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you, I'm giving you the secret sauce today. I'm giving you the secret sauce to success and getting yourself out of whatever negative position you may be in. And even if you're in a good position, I'm gonna give you the secret sauce on how to elevate that even. Change. Something that simple. I'm gonna repeat this quote again. I wish I had thought of this one myself. I would have gone out and trademarked it. I wouldn't even let me even read it again. I cannot say for sure that if I change, things will get better. But one thing I'm sure of, if they stand any chance of getting better, then change they must. You can't sit there and just wait on change, because change has its own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time,
Right.
its agenda is not your agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have to do is to initiate the change and not just be a pawn on somebody else's chessboard. You need to be that queen, that king,
Right.
at the worst, knight or rook. And for you non-chess players out there, let me tell you, pawn is not what you want to be. But that's what you
Yeah.
become when you are not initiating change. You just sitting there letting stuff happen to you. You letting folks deny you jobs. You letting folks suppress your vote. You letting people abuse you, pay you less than you're worth, because you didn't go out here and initiate the change to make things different. As I stated earlier, change means to make or become different, which means you got a choice. Now, when I get a choice, I got to do a little introspection and reflecting. Now, I can make or I can become. Why would I sit here and want to become something when I have a chance of making it myself?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying, in the light of this pandemic, in the light of this social justice movement, we can sit on the sidelines and become something, what people decide they want us to be. Or we can jump out here in front and initiate some change. Danielle is initiating change. Mr. Myles, he's over there initiating change. I'm going to ask my listeners out here, what are you doing? Now, the thing about change is, like so many things in life, you have to start somewhere. I was having a conversation with my brother Leon earlier today, and we were talking about how some people, they get this malaise. They get comfortable. They don't have enough in them to get up out of the bed in the morning at a decent hour. They sitting there sleeping to noon,
Right.
because somehow the change bug hasn't bit them. That change bug would have told them, you need to get up around 6 o'clock and start doing things like the Army, what the Army say. We do more by 7 o'clock than people do all day, whatever the saying is. You got to get that change. So sometimes you have to start with something small. So I'm just give you, just in case somebody needs a little push, a little impetus this morning, I'm going to give you some things you can start with. Do something small, like today, just go change your password. Daggone it. Change the password on your daggone phone, on your email account. You got hackers out here hacking people right and left. You start, and that's how change works. You start with something small, and then it gets infectious. Then you want to start changing big things. Hell, change your voicemail. You've been having that same message out there since Obama was in the White House. Change something small, and then you start moving to bigger things. To you business owners out here, you may have to change your image. We're seeing this happening across the country now, for good reason. I keep using NASCAR because to me that was major, and some folks still mad at them. They say they ain't never going to another racing match. Good for them. Let them go somewhere else. You didn't need them anyway. Sometimes you have to change your image. I gave the example of Michael King. Change his name to Martin Luther King. So I'm not saying you got to go out here and change your name tomorrow or your image. I'm saying you got to change something. I hate to put it so bluntly. Change something, because what it does, it starts other change. It starts those wheels to moving. If you're in business, change your prices. Raise them up, raise them down. I don't care which way you go.
It's change.
Change it.
Change.
Hey, let me tell you a story, Danielle and Richard. When I first got into web business, I started what it was called the $99 web page. I had never done a website in my life. I was driving home one day. I hit this home delivery supermarket. We predated Uber by about 30 years. We were doing home delivery, restaurants, and delivery. And it was wearing me out. I mean, everybody orders food at the same time. It'd be snowing. Everybody orders when the sun comes out. You can't give the food away. I just got tired of it. So I'm riding home one day, and I said, I'm going to start something. I'm going to change. I'm going to initiate a change. I said, I keep hearing about this thing called the internet, this website thing. I want to be in that business. Hadn't done a website, didn't even know what it looked like. So I made a change. So I made a decision. I said, when I come back, I was driving home to see my parents. I used to do it every Christmas. I said, when I come back, I'm going to be in the web business. Made a change. Now I did this change, and I started with this $99 web page, and the phone just rang off the hook. People had never heard such a thing. I said, boy, this is different. So I got tired. Once again, I'm tired again. I said, I'm tired of these folks bugging me all times at night trying to get this $99 website. So what I did, I said, I'm going to do another change. I'm going to raise the price. I'm going to change. Unfortunately, it didn't have the result that I thought. I thought they were going to stop calling me. They start calling even more. What I'm telling you, the magnificent power of changing something. Change your policy. Say, look, change the hours. We're not open from 7 to 9 anymore. We open from 6 to 8. Change something. People like change. That tells me. Have you ever looked at the EKG? You ever see that thing when it's going like flat?
Yeah, you don't want to do a flat.
No. When you see this, most people call that being erratic. That's called life. Ups and downs, changing. Change is a sign of life. Change your product. Get a different supplier. I tell you what, I know some folks out here listening to me might say, look, Gatewood, I might change you then. You're talking about, heck, change me.
Do that. Absolutely. And when you think about it, Robert, think about this. And a lot of people are afraid of change.
Yes, they are.
A lot of people are afraid of change. And, as you stated earlier, they get complacent. They don't feel like, well, man, I don't need to change nothing. I'm all right where I'm at. And I tell people all the time, I'm tired. I don't want to change. Well, when you're dead, you ain't got to worry about nothing. You ain't got to worry about paying no bills, going to work. Keep moving. Like you say, so we got to get out of that. We're afraid of change. And as you said about Martin King, that changing of his name changed history. Think about that.
That's exactly right. Sometimes, folks,
because they did one thing, he changed his name.
Folks, now you as I'm gonna wrap this up. And Danielle, I'm just gonna get your take on this change, this whole thing here, because I see you over there bubbling, because I sound like I'm I'm hitting a few nerves. What do you think
But we are in a moment of forced change as it is. I mean, we are in a complete moment of forced change, and it's either people are with it or they're not. And either way it goes, it's happening, it's moving. And we at Black Voters Matter, we tell people every day, we don't get the luxury of having set schedules and set, knowing what we're going to do from moment to moment, because this is changing from moment to moment. And we definitely have to be on our toes and be on the lookout. We have to have eyes in every single direction to ensure that we are a part of the change, and we're knowing what's coming. Sometimes it can be a little difficult, but just like you said, being just making that decision. You know what? If it comes, I'm going to be a part of that change. I'm going to do my part in that change, whether it's a change that's positive, or it's a change that is negative and you want to be the one to stop that. Whatever it is, make that decision that you're going to be a part of the process. And that's what we do at Black Voters Matter, is ensure that people are a part of the process, not just on November the 3rd, but surpassing it 365. Have a say in what you want this to look like on a 365 basis. Be a part of that change no matter what.
We got a comment here, I guess it's directed at you, Danielle. What about getting Black people to fill out the census? Is that important?
Absolutely. The census, it works hand in hand with voting. You want to know where your lines are, in your county. You want to know who's representing you. You want to know where your tax dollars are going. When it comes to your community, you have to be a part of the census work. And it takes all of 7 minutes to fill out the census, letting people know who's in your household and for you to be counted. Some of our undercounted areas are our Black communities. So we have to ensure that our Black people are counted so that we can get the appropriate hospitals and medical attention and school funding that we need for our communities. We have a say in that. And that's the simplest thing. If you want to be a part of some change, fill out the census. That's the simplest thing you can do, and you can do it today online, by phone, or if you got it in the mail, you can fill it out and send it back in the mail. It's got free postage on it.
All right.
And
Amen.
stop being afraid, Robert, and we got to stop being afraid, hiding people. Oh, we don't want to know that, man. We need to know exactly how many people in your household. So we got to get over that, listen to that crazy stuff. Oh, don't tell them how many people in here, because you know what? They're going to tell us to move. No, put the right amount of people down there. We got to stop that. Make that change and stop being so afraid to say how many people in your household.
Go ahead. You're exactly right. All right, folks. Now I'm coming down to the close here. I told y'all my dad was a preacher, so I guess that's when the choir started playing the music. They be trying to get him off the pulpit. The guys started playing the piano, little music started coming in the background. Like, how we gonna get this guy off the pulpit? Well, here's what I'm gonna do. The last thing I want you to change, just a little more, take a little more effort, a little more challenges. I want you to change the way you think. Now, we have been indoctrinated for the most part. And I'll tell you what, I remember when I had the scales falling off my eyes moments. I was over in Tucker Park. I had a cigarette in my mouth. I know, you saying me with a cigarette? Yeah. I had a cigarette in my hand, man. I was out there smoking like a chimney. And all of a sudden I realized that I had been pimped. I had been bamboozled. I had been used and abused. Somebody convinced me to put this darn flaming piece of tobacco up to my mouth and inhale it in my lungs. And what it did to me, that change was part of a bigger change of mindset, of taking control of what goes in my brain and what comes out of my mouth. So one of those things, and it started manifesting itself. It started a snowball effect. It was an awakening moment for me that I had been let somebody change my mind to believe that it was good for me to smoke. I told you, either you're going to make or you're going to become. I had become a smoker. Now I had to turn that thing around and make myself a non-smoker. That's what I'm talking about, the power of change. You have to change your mindset. You have to change your mindset whether you're going to be a worker or an owner. We're talking about changing your mindset. You have to change your mind whether you're going to be a spender or a saver or an investor. You have the power to do that. If you don't, somebody's going to convince you, like they convinced me at my young age, to go out here and start buying Cools and Newports. We have the power to make the change we want to see in the world. Now, one thing I don't want you to change, and if you haven't already, most of us, we walk into this thing called a purpose. This reason we've been put on this earth. And the sooner you discover it, the better off you're going to be. And sometimes you can't change this if you wanted to. So don't even try. It's difficult for you to vote. So if you have no ability, how am I hearing you? So your purpose is not based on condition. It's not based on people. It's not based on whether the flag is stars and bars or stars and stripes. Your purpose is based on your raison d'etre, your reason for being. Don't spend any time trying to change your core values and your core beliefs. I don't care where you work, how many powerful people you're around. If anything, you want to bring them over to your side. Don't let anybody change your beliefs and your reasons for being on this earth. Because many times, it's not going to change even if you tried to. I found out that my reason for being was to help business owners succeed. And since that time, I have not wavered. I changed the methodologies. 1 month, I may have been pushing TV, mass media. Then I was doing the web. Social media is hot now, and tomorrow's going to be something else. But the core underlying value has not changed. I have to understand the difference between the means and the ends. So with that said, I'm going to say to everybody, do this for me. Just change one little thing today. I don't care what it is. And what it's going to do, it's going to start an avalanche of change. And you're going to be surprised on how all of a sudden you're going to start making bigger changes and changes for the better. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Folks, I would thank my guest, Mr. Myles. He blanked out on me again, but if he comes back, we'll bring him back up. But I want to thank you again, Danielle. You have been the consummate guest today. I really admire your passion, your commitment, and what you're doing out here in the struggle for our people. And when I say our people, what you do for our people, you're doing for humanity, for the world, because justice does not operate in a vacuum. When you provide justice for us, then you're giving other people reasons to sleep at night, to feel good about themselves as well. So that's why I like to tell people, look, justice has no justice. If you want to talk about something that's colorblind, justice, everybody can bring justice to the table. It just so happened that we happen to be on the needing end of it right now, as far as our vote being suppressed and some of the economic challenges and other ills that are facing our community. We have a pandemic of people shooting each other up in Chicago and other places of the country. So we need justice to, like Dr. King say, to rain down like righteousness, like a mighty stream. And let's cover some of all of these ills, because we know these ills didn't happen in a vacuum. Folks in Chicago aren't shooting each other in a vacuum. There's a root cause that we have to get down to. And that's when justice starts to count. That's why votes matter. That's why Black voters matter. And that's why the Marketing Pulpit is glad to have you, Danielle, as our special guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Any parting words there, Danielle?
Just make sure that we are all making sure that we are doing our part in the change that we want to see, and the change that we want to be, being active, being as much as possible, and making sure that no matter what is happening, how we do it, but we do it safely, that we get to those polls on November the 3rd.
All right. And Mr. Myles, I'm not sure if you can, we can't see you. Can we hear you? I think we lost him. But anyway, check out the Minor Football League. You can go to marketingpulpit.com. His website is MFL is here. I join them every Wednesday at 5 o'clock on there as one of the co-hosts on the show. And the MFL is expanding its footprint into Africa. We're taking the football league into Africa. They're members of the African Union, and they've been embraced us, and we're glad to bring that franchise over into the continent of Africa. Once again, my company is Gatewood Marketing. We're actually have done quite, I would say, a bang-up job helping companies adjust during this pandemic and during this companies that we've helped people bring them into the technological world. We've helped people set up telehealth, Zoom accounts. We've helped people set up digital online ways of communicating, and that's been our strong suit during this pandemic. And so if you need any type of help with that, then of course reach out to my company, Gatewood Marketing and Web. We're 301-839-2836. You can also get us in Pulpit website. And if you need any help, if you want to sponsor the show, for instance, we also looking for sponsors, people that are like BLE, people like 98.6 band, people like the Amount of Football League, people like Taxes and All, people like a whole list of people who actually join has become sponsors of the show because we have a message that needs to get out there. Go to Marketing Pulpit and find out more about my guests, my co-hosts, and everything Marketing Pulpit. And we'll be back next week. We'll have another dynamic lineup next week. And Danielle, once again, thank you for joining the Marketing Pulpit radio show. And as I end every show, I always like to say these words. If you want to be successful, you have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. We're out. Hey, hey, hey.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.